or don't look at the camera. I said, look.
I was doing two things.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, August 29th, 2023. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe the little things make a big difference. Give Brian a call today. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
I called Brian last night. Booked my
For what?
roof. Booked my roof. He's going to come next week, do my roof.
Oh, that's right. He did your parents.
Yeah. He hadn't done mine because I was waiting, and now I got it all set. So we're all set.
Nice.
So, and he answered. He was on the roof himself.
See, right there. And you called that number. That's just it. The same number that Fitzy and I call him is the same number on the screen.
That's right.
So
you go right to the top there.
Yeah, no kidding. So totally spam him. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Good morning, Renee. All right. So interestingly, I only have, on our show flow, I noticed this morning when I was looking back through Barron County articles, etc., we have two insider stories I wanted to talk to you about. But you didn't have a press release in the last week. Which, no. I'm not kidding, I think it's been almost 3 months since you have not had a press release over the course of a week. So after our two sports questions, which we always start with, then we get into our press releases and articles, but no pressers, just two articles. This is all going to take like 15, 20 minutes tops, and we're going to have like a half an hour to kill. So we're just going to have to, I don't know, wing it or whatever you want to talk about or anybody else wants to talk about.
Might be a short show.
Might be a shift. No kidding. That's great. All right. So let's get to our, as we always start with sports questions, let's get to it. Mine is the San Francisco 49ers traded Trey Lance. I'm sorry, let me start over. What's the biggest or the bigger story here? The 49ers trading Trey Lance or the Dallas Cowboys acquiring Trey Lance?
That was going to be my question. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't. Well, we knew they were going to get rid of him. So the biggest storyline is the Dallas Cowboys acquiring him. I didn't see Dallas in the mix at all, and they just all of a sudden boom, they traded him.
Yeah.
For a fourth rounder?
Yeah. And remember, they actually, speaking of Brian, good morning, Brian, and Heather and Sharon and Shani Anderson's on. They traded him for 3 first-round. This was 2 years ago. They traded up in the draft. They gave up 3 first-round picks. I mean, that's a massive haul, that's a large amount of draft capital to move up to pick this guy, and then 2 years later he's gone for a 4th rounder. So yeah, they gave up on him, but that wasn't which is crazy. But you think that the fact that he went to the Cowboys, which he'll be a 3rd stringer there, that's the bigger story.
Yep. Bigger story because everybody's going to see he's going to replace,
Dak
Prescott. And so I don't know. But
so I would agree. I would agree. The initial biggest story is that they gave up 3 first-round picks, and after just 2 games in 2 years, they gave up on him. And not just that, but they had that. Who's their backup now? Because Brock Purdy's their starting quarterback. Who, remember, last year after 1 game, I texted you and said, that's a future Hall of Famer. That's the next Tom Brady. I'm standing behind that. But then their backup is Sam Darnold, who couldn't cut it with the Jets, couldn't cut it with the Panthers, and he comes to the 49ers, and he's the backup. So Trey Lance got relegated to 3rd in the depth order. They must know something that the rest of us don't.
Right.
But you're right. Initially, the first big story is that. But yeah, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody loves to love or loves to hate them.
Right.
This is going to be the biggest story for the Cowboys for the rest of the year. He has one bad game. It's get Trey Lance in there.
You're right. Exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Do you think that stops big trades? We see NBA and we see all these big trades for multiple players, and then these guys fall off the earth and they're not good anymore. Do you think that stops these big trades in the draft? Like trading up to get somebody and giving up so much and I don't know.
There's 2 kinds of general managers because general managers are like presidents. Like we don't necessarily, we want to do everything that helps us right now, and we're just kicking the can and let the next president figure it out. General managers are the same way. It's
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm going to have a job here in 5 years, so that's why they give up a whole bunch of future picks in order to win now. So then I get to keep my job. But then
That
there's
makes sense.
others that have a lot of job security as general managers, and they're the ones usually a little more careful with that and smart in the draft. And it typically is just one of those two. Who's the one that like bankrolls their whole future just on today? We're just going to give everything away. I don't know. I've always thought it was a little silly. And the NBA has
Yeah.
got to get this under control too. They're trading away 2029 picks.
You're right.
What?
You shouldn't be able to go out that far.
Come on. It should be like a 2-year tops. 2
Right.
years, that's it.
Right. They've got to put some limits on that because, we're into 2030, I'm like, come on. They might not even be a team in 2030.
No,
They might be
exactly.
traded to Las Vegas and
Yeah.
relocated.
Yeah. So was that your sports question? Was just a follow up to that, or did you have another one?
It wasn't. That was just a follow up to that. But did you watch tennis last night?
I didn't even know the U.S. Open was going on until this morning, and I was watching the recap. I watched Coco play, and she won.
Controversy.
Yep,
Actually, it was. I guess it's one of the first years they've done it at night, and so
maybe
they were
that's
playing
why I
at
didn't know about it.
Well, it was weird because I'm like, is this live? And they're like, yeah, it's live. And I'm like, wow. But yeah, there was some controversy about time limits, and tennis got some pick me up last night. I was watching. I'm like, hey, there's some controversy in tennis. This is
I love
great.
it. I know. We love we love storylines. Yeah.
Storylines. So now everybody's going to follow her, and the storyline's going to be there, and so we'll see.
I hope she wins. It's wide open for the women right now in the U.S. Open. But Coco, I remember watching her when she was 15 at Wimbledon, and she was that biggest story in all of tennis that tournament. But she really hasn't gotten majors. She hasn't. She's 19 now. I get she's still young, but she was like a prodigy at 15.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for her to take that next step, and this could be it. It'll be interesting.
Did you watch golf over the weekend?
No.
Oh.
Ironically, there's too many sports on right now. There's F1 and there's college. There's so many sports. There's not enough time in the day.
F1's not really a sport.
All right, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
It's still the fastest growing sport in America.
Okay. All right. No, that was it. There is a lot of sports on, and it's going to get better every weekend starting next Thursday night with NFL football opening up.
That's right. So next week, our sports questions are going to be about probably predictions as well.
That's right.
For the Packers. We'll do some predictions next week. All right. So we only have 2 articles that I know I want to get to, and the rest is just going to be dead air for half an hour because we have nothing to talk about. We'll get to that after 15 seconds. After a word from Spooner Health.
Satisfaction surveys and in conversations with patients, they appreciate the fact that staff got to know them. Staff really took their preferences into account, and they just feel grateful that they are being cared for as a person.
To learn more about our services, visit SpoonerHealth.com.
All right. So as we said at the beginning of the show, this is the first time in like 3 months that you have not sent a press release out over the course of the week, which is just great, actually, because usually the press releases are going to be fatal crash or something. All right, so the 2 articles, one from last week, these are insider articles on DrydenWire.com. The headline of the first is $20,000 cash bond ordered on charges of homicide by delivery of fentanyl. Then autopsy confirmed cause of death was toxic effects of fentanyl. $20,000 ordered for a Sade Sherwa, age 29 of Burnsville, Minnesota, on a case filed against him in Barron County Circuit Court charging him with reckless homicide following an investigation by Barron Police Department into an August 22 overdose death that occurred in Barron. And recently on August 2023, charges of Class C felony reckless homicide / delivery of fentanyl was filed against Sherwa. That same day, he appeared for another hearing in Barron County Court. While in custody, the Honorable J.M. Bitney ordered a $20,000 cash bond for Sherwa on those charges. So obviously there's a cash bond component here. And then thankfully, this is like the third one we've talked about recently about allegedly supplying the fentanyl that led to someone's death that they're being charged now with homicide. So what are your takeaways from this?
Takeaways are, yes, we're going to see more of these unless people stop doing fentanyl. I mean, it's pretty simple. When we talk about it, I mean, people don't know what they're putting in their bodies, and they're mixing it with fentanyl, whether they know it or not. And obviously, in this case, allegedly, he knew he was giving her fentanyl, and I don't know the whole story, but Barron PD, hats off to them for doing a good job and on that. And yeah, I'm happy to see it. So last time we'll see Jan Bitney's name. He's retired. So Mike Bitney is retired. So hats off to him for his career and service to Barron County.
And at this rate, looks like it'll be February next year. They'll finally appoint his successor. Good Lord, just get to it already.
They can't appoint after December 1st. So,
if you don't have anybody taking them forever.
1st, it is taking them forever. I agree, but no, glad we're going to see more of these. If people don't stop doing fentanyl or don't understand what they're doing, get help. There's help. DHS will help you. I know people say there's no help out there. There is help there. You have to want the help. That's the other problem with this is when it comes to drugs, you have to want the help. We can offer a lot of programs, a lot of services to you, but you have to want the help. And I know family members want their loved ones to get the help. It's always the loved ones that don't want the help. So before it's too late, we've got to reach out and get help. We've got to have people, telling us about other people, telling us about drugs and telling us where it's coming from. There's not a lot of informants out there right now. The drug world is up and down, and we're in a downward motion right now.
Well, slow down. What is? Yeah, that's all very fascinating. What does that mean? So the drug world is.
There's not a lot of informants right now. We're not.
Why?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it just ebbs and flows. It's just either we haven't caught the right person, or I don't know. There's no.
Want me to be an informant? Wait, they'll probably recognize me. I'll wear like one of those glasses with the mustache and I like a Groucho Marx mask.
Right.
I'll be an informant. I'll rat on anybody.
That's right.
As long as you pay me.
Yep. Do you know where the drugs are?
No, but I can figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, get figuring, but
okay.
No. But that's where the drug world depends on informants. It depends on people wanting to work off their charges, and some people don't like that. We've talked about this on the show before. Some people don't like that we give deals to people that want to work off their charges because they're mad because they should go to prison. Well, we are sending a lot more people to prison also, which does have an effect on the drug world too. When we see some of these cases, they're like, whoa, I'm not going to sell drugs in Barron County, a $20,000 bond, homicide charges. We're working it back, and it takes a long time to work a case backwards with very limited information. So again, hats off to the Barron Police Department for working that case backwards. And
it was a long investigation. This happened again August a year ago,
right?
And if I recall the article, it was something about this individual, this female who had died in Barron, went to the cities where this person was, and ended up. She basically said, allegedly, in according to the critical complaint, "I have $50. Just give me something."
Right.
And then went home back here to Wisconsin, back to Barron. That's where she had passed away.
Right.
So these aren't just, pull someone over, write a report. Right. These are long. I mean, again, a year. And he's been charged. And part of the reason also, if I recall from the article, that this took so long was he has multiple other charges in other places. So they needed to get him here. So there was a lot of other factors that went into this.
I think just getting him. I think he was on the loose for a while. And
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So, So we're going to see more of these with fentanyl out there. It's just a reality. So.
Fentanyl, man. For the love of Pete Johnson, which, by the way, that's what we say all the time at the house now. You heard that phrase, for the love of Pete. Well, now I just say for the love of Pete Johnson because, I don't know if I'm honoring the man very well by using his name in that sense, but I think it's okay. All right, so the second one.
He wouldn't want people to do drugs either, so that's good.
That's all right. He wouldn't. And the second article that we had, insider article on dryware.com, I think this was just yesterday, charges filed in Barron County following cyber tip on suspected child pornography. Investigators allegedly located hundreds of images depicting child sexual abuse. The charges are against Thomas Bowden, age 53, following law enforcement's investigation into a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about suspected child pornography. Skipping along here, officers located over 400 images. The criminal complaint lists descriptions of nearly 24 images that were retrieved from Bowden's devices. The images allegedly depicted children who had not attained the stage of puberty being subjected to sexual abuse. Dryden has chosen not to include the details of this in this post due to the graphic nature, which we put in often because sometimes I don't know. This is why we don't post the actual full criminal complaint, because sometimes it's just too much, man. Like the average person, it's disgusting, it's gross, and I guess it's technically news and we should put it in, but I don't know. There's a line I don't really want to cross that stuff, especially when it comes to kids. Now, you just said we're going to talk about Bitney. Well, hold on. Bowden appeared for a court hearing on earlier, and the Honorable J.M. Bitney ordered a cash bond of $2,500. Bowden is facing 10 counts of Class D felony possession of child pornography. Takeaways.
You'll see, I'm just looking at the jail roster for today. You'll see another one on today, probably another one on tomorrow. I think we had a busy day with child pornography. I know there's a child pornography possession on the jail roster today. We were very busy yesterday with these cases, both on the municipal level and on the county level, and on the state level. So we had DCI was up yesterday. Turtle Lake Police were involved. Our sheriff's department was involved on separate cases. So lots of activity yesterday involving some search warrants and some other things. And so we're making some headway on these, and there's a lot of tips out there. We're working these tips through the cyber tip lines. And again, that's a very time-consuming case, like the other case. These cases aren't solved in an hour like on TV. These are month-long cases where one detective has to spend hours and hours and hours looking at images, writing search warrants, getting search warrants. And these cases are big-time cases, and they have to be done exactly. You have to get, if your subpoena or your records for subpoena aren't exact, then you don't get the information you need back to follow the route and the trail. It's following breadcrumbs. What it is, and sometimes it's tough.
Why we've actually, unfortunately, had this exact same conversation at least 3 times now, where I will ask you, why are we seeing more? Part of this, as we've discussed, is because it's, I wouldn't say a focus, but we're aware of these things, and there's a lot more resources like DCI, and et cetera, and others, that you can put that time into these because they're so important. But I want to peel that layer back further, which we haven't done yet, which is, why do you think this is just happening more and more? Is this something where you look at, which a lot of people do consider, but nobody wants to talk about, is the incredibly easiness of finding online pornography, just like, an adult can just go to like the porn site. And there's like no check for anything. There's no, just like 2 years ago when, remember Trump and whatever that lady's name was that he apparently paid money to, I guess the point. I never heard of the person. I Googled her name, and then I clicked on the first link, and like, no kidding, tons of her like videos, because she was a porn star, which I don't know if we should call them stars, but whatever. And I'm like, I accidentally found it. Like, it's that easy. But, things lead to, it's like marijuana, which you could argue is a gateway drug, and some people say it isn't. But do you think these people who start looking at images of minors, do they start there? Because they can't, right? It has to start somewhere else. Is there something that you can kind of tie back or relate to? I think if we address this one other issue, this will help not seeing these things anymore. Or is it just, no, we're just paying attention to it more?
No, I don't think so. Well, I think the easiness of it, and I think working from home has caused a lot of this. And so I think those are the two issues. I think we're, as technology advances, the good guys get some good technology, which helps us. Internet Crimes Against Children has invested more money into this. We want to protect our kids, and so we go after this. And I think we've made it a priority, sometimes over drugs. I mean, if you look, another reason why maybe drugs are down is because our drug detectives was working at Internet Crimes Against Children case. So, it's a toss up which one you want to work and work better. And we got to protect our kids. And so we're going to work those Internet Crimes Against Children cases. I think people working from home, and I think people just having easier access. Phones have gotten faster and easier to download images, and it's just easier to have in your pocket now. So
working from home, help me understand that one. How does that lead to the increased likelihood that you are going to be looking at images or trying to find images of minors in these, all the gross stuff that goes with it? How?
So I work at a cubicle at X business, and I'm not going to be searching child porn. But now you send me home because I don't. Instead of having a cubicle, I'm going to save the rent on the building, and I'm going to send you home to work. Well, now I can have my laptop, my personal laptop, right next to me, my work computer here, and I can be searching porn on my break or whatever I want, or downloading images when no one else is home. Maybe my wife's not home, my kids aren't home, my roommate's not home, whoever. I mean, I'm not saying they're all married and have kids, but whoever's not home with me because they're at work at their job and I'm at home, and now I can do this without anybody looking over my shoulder. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to hide it as much. It's
so there's, if we look at it from like a means and opportunity, working from home would be the opportunity.
correct.
But the means would go back to then just the relative easiness of, like, seriously, I don't understand. I know there's other states that is very bipartisan bills. I think a state just passed this law down in the legislature. I can't remember which state is in southern United States, where it is now forcing, like, you have to provide, if you go to an adult site, you have to provide an ID stating. So I don't know how they do that. I don't know if you take a picture of your thing. I'm sure there's workarounds. But I guess this has happened in other states, and the largest porn site you hear about all the time, I can't think of the name of it right now, it like stopped serving. It won't even like have its stuff available to anyone in like 7 states right now because it's such a mess for them to be able to go around all these workarounds. And it's, well, that's good because, you can find like the most disgusting things in the world are just free anywhere.
Right.
So I think that just kind of leads to, right, it's a progression. If again, going back to the drugs, when is marijuana a gateway drug? It can be for some, it's not for others. But typically you don't find someone who starts off with heroin or meth. Something started it first. And I kind of feel like if you're looking at that kind of stuff, it had to start somewhere. And it just kind of, you get bored with it. And now I want, another high, a bigger high. Correct. In this case. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it has to be talked about at some level.
Right.
But nobody wants to because most Americans look at this stuff. So
Right.
nobody wants to talk about it.
And it's ease of your phone. I mean, I can have it on my phone. I don't need a laptop computer anymore. I don't need a processor. Our phones download images instantly. I can watch videos and I can shut it off right now. But it's all these sharing of, it's not so much, these people we're going after are sharing images and trading images and images. It's not watching it.
Okay. That takes it to a whole nother level.
Right. It's the sharing of images is how we get alerted to things. So just because you turn porn on your computer doesn't mean it goes boom and comes to the sheriff's department. It's now you've shared it with a company that shares it, and they have to report things that get shared, whether it's, and I'm not saying they all Dropbox. I'm sure there's other names for it, but it's like a Dropbox,
Sure.
It's almost like an email, like boom, boom. And they're like, oh, did you see this site? Boom. And the dark web, which I've never been on, is so elusive. It's crazy. It's probably not even the dark web. It's probably just the web. No, it's probably not even dark anymore. I mean, it's just the web. I can share images. I can share things with you. I can email you, and boom, I can delete my emails, and it's still there. People don't understand that. The internet is still there. When you download these images, I get a warrant, reach into the cloud, grab that information, and I know it came from your phone or your laptop or you're here at this address. I mean, that's what we have to work on. That's the going backwards in a case.
Heather had asked, how do we educate and show our young people that this is real and happening every day?
I think I know what she's saying. Okay. It's how do we educate the young people? It's real. I don't know if she's talking about the images of the young people. Yes, the sharing of images is bad. And we tell these high school kids all the time, don't share pictures of yourselves, even though you're in love with this girlfriend and whatever it is. Don't share those pictures because they're out there forever. These are the images that sometimes get shared on the site. Don't do it as a joke. Don't do it as something being funny. But we also can't have them looking and sharing things and showing their buddy, because that's a possession of child porn. If I have a girlfriend that's 16 and I show everybody a picture of her and I happen to be 18, boom. They're nasty people online. You're exactly right. I don't know how to protect them from these nasty people online. Know what your kids are doing online. But it's in their palm of their hand. So, and we all want our kids to have phones. So I don't have a good answer for that. I wish I did.
We
But
just
we
got
need
our
to keep-
two youngest kids' phones, but we have I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a Q, but it tracks everything. Like we could just go on, and we made sure they were aware. I mean, they're both great young Christian kids, but there's a crazy world out there.
Right.
So we made sure they were aware. Like this isn't a secret. Like it GPS, and we can see every text. Everything. We had to pay for these apps to put on them, and I get notifications all the time. This person just downloaded this app and has used this it's just fantastic. But you know what they say: trust but verify. But I think
Right.
it's also important to set boundaries and them to know that hey, if we're getting you phones and we're paying for them, these are the rules. This is how it works. But yeah, because it's like motorcycle drivers. It's not necessarily that you're going to do something dumb. It's somebody else is going to hit you because they're not paying attention.
Right.
That's what always the biggest concern is. Renee says, okay, Ben, is alcohol and cigarettes a gateway drug? It's legal, but is it right to blame pot? Pot is laced today more than ever, yet I will continue to support THC. Yeah, so to be clear, I didn't say that it was a gateway drug. I said that you can make an argument that it is, and then you can make an argument that it isn't. I understand that. But typically, if you find people who are on meth and or heroin, it started somewhere. And most times that is going to be marijuana. But I agree with you. Cigarettes can be a gateway drug because that's similar to a meth or something you inhale. Is alcohol leading to drug? I don't know. I feel like those are a little bit different. But then again, a lot of times you find alcohol, right, Fitzy, around people that are doing drugs too. So it could be. But again, I'm not saying it's a gateway. But you can make an argument that it is, or at least it has the potential to be.
Sure. I don't drink, but if I drink and I'm drunk and I'm saying I'm never going to use marijuana in my life, but now I'm drunk. When people are drunk, they make bad decisions.
There you go.
And then they get hooked on marijuana. So alcohol is a drug. Tobacco is a drug. I've always said we've never went to the high school and said, I'm not every kid that drinks smokes and not every kid that smokes drinks, but
Right.
it's a progression. If I can get away with this, maybe I can get away with alcohol. Maybe I can get away with marijuana. Maybe I can get away with this. You're exactly right. It's not in every case, but it is a gateway drug. No one in the jail said I woke up and started taking heroin. No one in the jail did that. And they started with another drug and needed to get a different high. Now, sometimes people can control that. I agree. Some people just do marijuana. They've only done marijuana their whole life and never done anything more. That's great. But in most cases in the jail, I can show you 40 guys or women that it didn't start with just marijuana or it didn't start with just heroin. They started with a lower drug and went up.
Yeah, and that was going back to the reason I was bringing that up was talking about pornography. Obviously, when there wasn't internet back when we were growing up, but there was things like Playboy and stuff, and that was usually on there's a sheet on it, like when they had magazines. Remember when magazines still existed? I don't even know if they still exist. But it was at like your gas station or something, and it was at like at a higher shelf, and there was a plastic sheet above it, so you couldn't see the picture of the with a blacked out thing, whatever. Right. And then you have to show an ID to get it. I don't remember what the age is, 16, 18, whatever it was. Well, probably 18 to purchase those. So there was, there were some things you had to go through. And now there just isn't. But going to is it a gateway per se? That's what I was trying to reference is I don't know how many people that get to like extreme things in like, child stuff and whatever that didn't start somewhere with something. That's all I was saying. I feel like it's so easy. And as you said, the opportunity is there all the time now on your phone. If you're working from home, I mean, you're just bored and no one's around. It's like, hey, in 2 seconds, I can find like the most disgusting things in the world that are free and not illegal. But eventually that could lead you to some really bad things. Not that everybody does.
Right.
Jeez.
But sometimes it's by accident too. And that's what we have to talk to our kids about. And back to Heather's question is how do we got to talk to our kids about searching images and searching, you search Donald Trump and you probably will find something, it's as simple as that, which leads you down a rabbit hole.
What was her name? Stormy Daniels. That's what it was. And I, I don't know who this is. And then I clicked on images and it was just an image of her. She was clothed and everything. And clicked on the image and then it takes you to the site that it was on. And there's like all of her like porn videos are right there to watch. I'm like, what? I accidentally found it in like 5 seconds and I wasn't even looking for it. I'm like, there's something wrong.
If you're at work right now, don't search that place.
Yep. Don't click on that first image. I'm telling you. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Prescription drugs. That's another good one. I mean, that's just it. There's so many bad things out there and they all could lead to something and they all may not lead to something. It's just a crazy, crazy mixed up world right now.
It's prescription drugs is another
That's
bad
another
thing that,
yeah.
and people are selling them and doing things. And so, but we continue to talk about stuff like this. We continue to hit these topics, head on. I think we did that well today. I mean, I think you have to. I think you can't sugarcoat this. You can't talk. You have to talk about it. You have to go to the schools and talk about it. School starts back up. We should talk a little bit about school starting back up.
Oh, right.
School zones going into place. 15 when kids are present. School's going to hit. Every day. I think this week a different school starts, and all of them will start next Tuesday for sure. So school zones are in place. So let's talk to our kids. Let's make sure they, there's no bullying, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, prescription drugs, you name it. Let's talk to our kids about all that stuff before they hit the school.
Ultimately, isn't that what we've always talked about? Again, taking a God out of the equation or anything else, or even like law enforcement. Like, you don't need me, the sheriff, to come and talk to your kids. But I'm assuming if you asked them, if somebody asked you to, you would do it in a heartbeat. But going back to the question, how do we educate and show our young people? If you have kids, talk to them. And I know we say that all the time in the show, but how many people actually do it?
You're 40% less likely to do alcohol if you talk to your kids about it. Now, I'm not saying that means 60% do, and that's fine. But they have to be smart. You have to make good decisions. So
40%. Well, I didn't know that. Just alcohol or other stuff too?
No. Hang on. Somebody's texting me. I need to answer this.
They're probably saying, 40... stop talking about pornography on the live show.
You shouldn't talk about that. No. I don't know. But yes, it's 40% likely to use alcohol if you talk to your kids before the age 15. There was a stat. We had it on a poster. It's been a stat forever. It's just talking to your kids about alcohol and drugs. They're 40% less likely, and I'll take 40% over zero, or hoping it won't happen. Any day of the week. So, yeah. So
hey, speaking of alcohol, so this Thursday I'll be having Romaine Quinn on, Senator Romaine Quinn on for his monthly show. It comes on the last Thursday of every month. And the only thing I've written down to make sure I wanted to talk to him about is a bill is being kicked around in Madison. I believe this was brought up in 2018 as well, and it didn't go anywhere. And there was a headline in yesterday that was open drinking on ATVs would be banned in Wisconsin under new bipartisan bill. The DNR put out some information. I think I posted that last week, that how many crashes that there were. ATV, this would be in 2020. If I'm recalling, in 2020, ATV crashes, there were a little over 100 with like 13 deaths. UTVs was, again, somewhere around there, a little over 100 with like 8 deaths. So basically 21 deaths on ATVs and UTVs, which I actually found to be pretty low, considering how many of these things there are, just saying. Right. And half the deaths.
County.
I know. I felt like that number would be a lot higher, which is still 21 too many. But of those 21, it's around half of those were alcohol related. So it is still illegal, just like with a vehicle, or it's still you can't be over 0.08. You get I don't know if illegal is the right word. Or crime's the right word, but you get a ticket or something. And they gave a whole bunch of those tickets, but in terms of the deaths, about half of them were related to alcohol. So this would only change. What the reason that they're bringing that up is they want to, I didn't even know this until I read this, you can actually drink on an ATV or in a UTV right now, like open container. Didn't even know you could. Don't own one. I can't afford one. Those new UTVs are like $50,000. Like, that's a car payment. So I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
At the same time, it feels like this isn't that big of an issue right now. 10, 11 deaths due to alcohol in the entire year for the entire state of Wisconsin. I feel like it's not that big of an issue. However, it may be trending up. So the right time, it's never a wrong time to make the right decision. Would you support this?
Yeah, we've asked for this for a long time before we passed roadways, having our UTVs on the roadways. And actually, Barron County wanted to put it in the law that said you couldn't have it. You can't make the law more restrictive than the state law, so we couldn't do it. Legally, we couldn't. Barron County couldn't say, we don't want alcohol in our UTVs in Barron County. So we had to go with the state law, which allows that. If you look at our wreck deaths, we've had 6 traffic fatalities. We've had 5 wreck deaths. So we've had 11 deaths in Barron County this year. Of our wreck deaths, and we still have 2 yet to get some final results on, are 3 of our 5, and more than likely probably 5 of our 5 are going to be alcohol related.
Okay.
So, and again, enough.
So if you look at the percentage of the deaths, maybe not the
Right.
total number of deaths from it, but the percentage-wise, the majority are alcohol related. And again, that's so weird.
Ours are snowmobile drownings and UTVs, but our UTV crashed. We had 2 fatalities, both alcohol related. So,
Can you on a snowmobile? Can you have an open container on a snowmobile?
I won't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer.
If this was all about ATV and UTVs.
Right.
If somebody knows, let us know. But anyway, it's weird because like right outside our house, I see ATVs and UTVs just driving down the road, like on the road, which I think is legal, right? Depending on your city ordinances and stuff. Mm-hmm. So they're just driving around, and this whole time they could just be pounding them down, and it's legal as long as they're not making any traffic violations or above 0.08. But how would you even know that? Obviously, unless you're doing something wrong, and therefore you pull them over. That's nuts. I did not know you could actually do that.
You can lose your license for an OWI tomorrow, and you can drive your UTV today. I mean, the next day on the road, but you can't drive your car, but you can drive your UTV. And like, we've got to fix that part of the law too. And they're trying. I mean, Romaine and the Madison they're trying to do this, but that industry is very influential right now because there's so many people doing this. But I think,
who would be against it? What organization or lobby group? Seriously, because I don't even think like the bars or the tavern league would be against it, because that would force them to be at the bars more often and stay longer because they can't take something home. Like, who would actually be against that?
Freedom to do whatever I want.
That group. The freedom to do whatever I want.com. Yes.
We should buy that site.
We should. Oh, nuts. We're not going to be able to get a chance before somebody else does. Doggone it. That'd be a good one. For the love of Pete Johnson, I tell you.
Yeah. But don't drink and drive on anything. It's Labor Day weekend. It's going to be beautiful weather. Don't drink and drive on your car, your boat, your UTV. It's going to get hot again. We're talking 90s.
Oh, wait, where's our that's right. Dirk, we're about wrapping it up.
Yeah, Dirk, we need you because, but this is important because I do not want to go out and have a drowning this weekend because someone was drunk, decided to jump in and never swam before, but decided to cool off because they're super hot. I'm tired of that. And I'm not saying that's what happened in Barron County. I'm just saying that has happened before, and I don't want that.
I know.
So
we talked last week, we've had so many deaths. Well, 2 more in our area this last week. Yeah, well, one is in Grantsburg, but I have it not officially, but my understanding with someone who is aware of the situation, I believe that actually was not alcohol related. I believe it may have been more of a medical issue.
And that happened. Some of our drownings have been medical issues.
Yeah, which are unfortunate as well. And then there's another one I thought. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. But yeah, we've got to stop this streak. Since like July 1st, there's been on an average 2 a week in our area. It's just.
And we need to have a great Labor Day weekend, have fun. Shell Lake days. Dave Wilson's going to be busy at Shell Lake days, something. Yeah. So he's got a new squad car too. I got to go look at.
I saw the white one.
I got to go look at it because Durango's the only car we can get. There's a big storyline behind that. We can't get Fords right now.
He had mentioned that. Remember when Uncle Al came up like a couple months ago? Well, we had stopped down at the Shell Lake Police Department. I had not seen it yet. And Uncle Al wanted to say hi to Dave because they know each other online, and Dad was with. So we went there and we saw, before it got some of the logos and stuff on it, we saw it. I'm like, I really like the white. Now, I think that logo that he put on the Shell Lake Police Department page, there's a lot of pink in it. So I'm not sure what the tie in there is because Shell Lake's usually like blue and yellow. So I don't know why the hot pink. So we'll ask Dave about that. But that's a nice car. But he said something, if I recall, Uncle Al, I asked him why this particular one, and he brought something up about that there were not a lot of options. Like this was like one of the only options.
We have my chief deputy and I have a discussion about that probably every day about cars because they're hard to get. We don't know if we're going to get them in 24. It's really hard on law enforcement, and we're lucky here, but it's the smaller police departments it's really hard on. But yeah, be safe, make good decisions. And yes, have a blessed Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, not Memorial Day.
Forecast dry with warmer temps, dangerous heat wave. Oh man, Labor Day weekend. Okay. High start in the 70s today through Wednesday, high in the 80s. Thursday, Friday, high in the 80s and 90s. Temp in the 90s on Sunday and Monday. Haze smoke today, clearing. Oh, that's nice. Hey, at least, there's a positive. Haze/smoke today that should be clearing the area tomorrow, so that'll be nice. But yeah, I mean, holy cow, it's going to be a very nice weekend. but also a hot weekend. And then, as you know, Labor Day, you know this better than anybody. You get warm temperatures, especially hot temperatures. You get a Labor Day weekend, the last big thing, a lot of people in. This typically leads to, I'm pretty sure I know what we're talking about next Tuesday. And that I'm just saying, there's a lot of alcohol stuff on boats and on not on boats. And obviously there's going to be heat. So now you throw in not drinking water and you're outside, even if you're not doing anything wrong, but you're pounding drinks and you're out in the hot. Man, that leads to heat strokes and stuff. It could be a very, very dangerous weekend. So just be careful.
Hats off to our teachers. Thank you for what you do for our kids.
Yes.
Dodge Charger and a new fire truck. Yeah, the Charger. We can get a fire truck sooner than we can get a police car. That's pretty sad. We're going to be driving around fire trucks.
That would be so great, though. You should use that. And because you still got lights and sirens, and you show up, and they're all like, oh, we're busted. It's just the fire department. Who cares? And all the SWAT team pours out of it.
That's right.
See, you catch them off guard that way.
And everybody loves a fireman, so maybe everybody will start to love cops.
Now everyone's going to start pulling over when a fire truck is going behind them, so they think they're getting a ticket.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Last thing here, Bob was at Barron County Jail yesterday. Met with 12 guys interested in making positive change through the 12-step model. Thanks, Sheriff, for so many good programs for
Bob's
inmates.
got a lot of great programs going on. Bob's a big helper. Bob makes a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Who's Bob?
Bob works. He just volunteers in a jail. He does a lot of great things, and
awesome.
He's just a great guy who makes a difference in people. He's a guy that wants to make a difference, and I appreciate that. We do have a lot of great programs in our jail. Hats off, like I said, to our teachers. Hats off to our school bus drivers. Let's make our first couple weeks of school very safe. So go out there, have a great time this weekend, support our local businesses, but be smart.
Thanks, Fitzy.
Bet.
For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Give Brian a call today. Phone number is right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, now see you next week. Hopefully, no press releases. That'd be 2 weeks in a row, which I think would be the first time all year. Stay safe this weekend. I'll see everyone this Thursday at 8:30 right here on Facebook when I'll be chatting with Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn. So until next time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.